Hey everybody, welcome back. We are on part 1 of module 1, Building Blocks Mastery. And you'll notice rather quickly in this module that we're going to be doing very similar problems. And they're grouped in somewhat similar fashion, but they're also kind of spread out over a lot of parts. The idea is that by the end of this, you won't really have much to do in terms of practicing the basics. You'll have written them so many times. I would advise everybody in here not to copy and paste if they can avoid it, but sometimes you just can't avoid it. So we've got a bunch of conditionals, is old enough to drink, is old enough to drive, is old enough to vote, and is old enough to drink and drive. So let's go ahead and start coding them out. First one, I'm only going to read the problem out for the first one of these, but in general it's a very good idea to read the problem out loud. Write a function called is old enough to drink. So already we have the name of the function, as you can see here on line 1. Given a number, in this case an age, and there's where it's going to describe a parameter. So we have a parameter age, which they're telling us is a number. Is old enough to drink returns whether this person, or whether a person of this age is old enough to legally drink in the United States. So notes the legal drinking age in the United States is 21, and we've got an example, variable output is equal to is old enough to drink on 22, and then if you've been following along with the module 0 beta, or Udacity, you should realize that this statement implies that the return value of this function is going to be either true or false. So let's talk about some pseudocode. And pseudocode is just going to be a comment that's going to describe what the code will eventually do. So we'll say if given age is above limit, return true. Otherwise, I'm going to write otherwise because we really mean else, but that's okay. Return false. Now, the reason on line 2 that I wrote if given age is above limit is going to be, well, it's because essentially we have 3 of the same problem in a row, right? Is old enough to drink, is old enough to drive, and is old enough to vote. Once you get into the details of those, you'll realize that it's basically the same problem. It's a function that's going to return true or false based on whether an age parameter is above a certain limit. Now in this one, the limit is 21, so we'll say instead of limit, first we're going to copy this because we're going to want to use it later on. If given age is above limit, so we'll say if given age is above 21, return true, otherwise return false. So first way we could do this is with an if-else statement. So an if-else statement is going to look like this. And I usually indent to 2 spaces. This automatically indents to 4, so there's probably going to be a little bit of back and forth between the compiler, or I should say the text editor, and me, but nothing we can't fix. So if age is above 21, which is not exactly true, right? Is above or equal to 21. So if age is greater than or equal to 21, we know the person is legally allowed to drink in the United States, so we'll say return true. Otherwise, we know they're not, so we'll return false. Let's run this and make sure it works. And we're in good shape. Now, you might notice that the expression here is actually going to evaluate to true or false, and that would end up being the correct answer to the problem. So what we could do is we could comment this out by highlighting the whole thing, hitting command / which is going to comment it all out, meaning that all of this is not going to run as code. Instead of what we wrote, we could just take that exact expression that we had, age is greater than or equal to 21, and return that directly. So if we run that, we see that that's also correct. So a lot of stuff that we just did there, but let's go ahead and jump to the next problem. Is old enough to drive? If you remember, we had copy and pasted our if given age is above limit pseudocode. Return true, otherwise return false. So this one I'm going to skip the if statement, and we're just going to say return. Nope, we're not going to skip the if statement. It's important to write them all out. Else, if, and for old enough to drive, they need to be 16 or above. So if age is greater than or equal to 16, return true. Else, return false. We could do the exact same thing with returning the Boolean expression directly, but for our purposes, it was enough to show it once. So this should be correct, so we'll run it. It is. And we're going to copy and paste. Well, we actually already copied it, so we're just going to paste in our pseudocode that describes what we're doing for this problem. If the given age is above the limit to vote is 18. So we'll say if age is greater than or equal to 18, return true. Else, to be sure, if you end up leaving it like this, it's not a problem. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, the person is able to vote. Otherwise, they are not able to vote. So this function will return false. So we run that, and we're in good shape. Now, this one was meant as kind of like half a joke, half like just to make sure you were paying attention. If we answer this question, is it ever legal for a person to drink and drive? And we would say, no, it is not. So we'll return false. Because we don't really care what the age of a person who's drinking and driving is. They're never allowed to do it. So that's it for Conditionals 1. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.